What is up? So back. Was out with friends last night. Texted these two guys. I don't know if I'm going to make the workout this morning. We were running at this reservoir. And guess what? Woke up, no alarm, firing with energy. Time to get after it. So got a beautiful run in this morning. Felt like I was running with my spirit. Came back, had some eggs, 7 eggs, 2 bagels. Sprinkle, I learned this from the best. You sprinkle a little of the, I forget the name of the brand, but a little taco seasoning right on the eggs. You drizzle a little honey on there. That was my creative spin. And it hits. I had a great talk with my friend. I was already going to put together a video today, go on a little walk, and then it just gave me the extra energy where it became a necessity. So here we are. Do a little loop-de-doop. We're talking about alchemy today. Alchematizing your world. I've been fighting battles recently. Or rather, I had lost a battle. I had lost the war. And when you lose the war, you'll question your self-adequacy. Naturally, I've always set big goals for myself. And therefore, I hold myself to high standards. And so when something doesn't go to the plan, instead of blaming the world, I look inward. And I was looking inward, and I'm like, what is wrong? What went wrong? Why am I inadequate? Reality is, when I reflect back, I was very adequate in many ways. Still, out of the recognizing the value in learning, I like to piece apart, I like to be truthful and see the different things that I can improve upon, as we've talked about. So I'm not saying you don't learn lessons, but there's this deeper sense of inadequacy. And I've been grappling with this. Even before I lost the war, I was grappling with this inadequacy, and I was like, where does this come from? Where does this come from? And so I gotta be careful here because I have a white polo on and I'm drinking coffee, and usually that doesn't end up good for me if you know me. But my friend, he was talking about how, I forget the book, it's like Untethered Soul. I've never read it, but he was talking about this book. He described this feeling as like what's called thorns, where you have these thorns inside of you. And what happens for most people is they never actually surrender to them or address them. And so over time, you progressively develop and overcompensate for these thorns so that you never have to face the feelings. And some people might go their whole lives overcompensating and never having to face those feelings. Whether it be feelings of loneliness, going into a relationship, getting married, becoming dependent on the other person, trying to escape that feeling of deeper loneliness you have. If it's, let's say for me, like inadequacy, if I have ambition, I need to create something, I need to feel purposeful, having like I'm making an impact, right? So overcompensating with work, overcompensating with all of these things. And why I think it is important to recognize this, and instead of overcompensate, to face it, is because you can actually be yourself. You can step away from this need to overcompensate, to try to do this, try to do that, to try to hide yourself from those feelings, Because ultimately, you're going to have to face those feelings at some point. They're going to come up, right? You're going to lose. Business will fail. Relationship won't work. You can do absolutely everything right, and they're going to come up at some point. And so unless you embrace the feelings and you face them directly, you understand the root cause, you're never just going to be able to truly be yourself. I was listening to Tom Brady's commencement speech he gave at Georgetown 2 weeks ago. Popped up on my feed. And he hit it right on the nail. Highly recommend listening to it. But he talks about how in the 2017 Super Bowl versus the Falcons, it was like the fourth quarter, there was a 99.7% chance that they were going to lose. I forget the exact amount. They were down by like 20 at this point. And he just said, fuck it. I'm not quitting. And went after it anyway. And slowly chipped away. 90%, bumped back up to 92. 92 down to 50. And then they flipped the script. Winded up on top. And basically what he said is that you can do everything right. You can outwork everybody. You can have discipline. You can make the right decisions. You can do everything. You can enact all this control over your life. But God's the one who rolls the die, and ultimately determines where they land. And so, if you do have this need for overcompensation, if you have these thorns in you haven't faced, it's because you're trying to enact some level of control. Like I've always tried to enact some level of control with my work. And coming to terms with the fact that you can't control outcomes. You can control your decisions. You can control the variables that are in play, right? You can make healthy decisions. You can listen to God and follow what the plan He has, what your intuition tells you. But ultimately, you need to trust that it's in God's hands and He has a plan for you. And if you think that a certain result is going to happen or you're deserving of something, it's not the case. And you're defined by how you respond over and over again when you do all of the right things and they don't work out. Because that's how you learn lessons. And you take those and you keep going, Ultimately, what Tom Brady talks about, he says, all of those times you overcame your fear, you failed, and you kept going even if you'd put in all this effort over such a long time, done all the right things, and it still didn't work out. You keep going because maybe it'll work out the next time, and at some point it will work out. And it was the 100 or the 1,000 or the 10,000 times before that which you tried your very best, you failed, and you learned and you kept going, that ultimately prepared you for that one time that you succeed. So a man's not defined by their outcomes, by their successes. They're defined by how they respond to their failures. How do they respond when they do everything and still don't get the outcome they think they deserve? Because you're not deserving of anything. In the beginning, I mentioned alchemy. The reason I mentioned that is because I think when you step away from these thorns inside of you and you just embrace them and you focus on what you can control, right? You realize that your reality is shaped by your internal self. It's shaped by how you perceive everything around you, how you respond to everything around you, right? You can, in simple terms, just take any negative situation and almost always reframe it as a positive, right? There's a good line in one of the passages I was reading the other day, and it talked about basically creating magic. It was like these people create magic out of negative situations. It's exactly what it is. You flip the script on any negative situation, you make it a positive, and that's ultimately what defines you, is doing that over time. And you start to bend your reality. You fix your internal state, and then the world bends around you. You start to alchemize the world. You start to create opportunities. It's less of like a control you're enacting. It's not just like you're gonna, make something appear out of thin air. But that's basically what happens. It's not what you expect, but you let it come to you. You run on faith and not on some fear that you got to do this, you got to do that. And if you do those things, it's going to work out. It's like, no, you do those things and you act on faith and you have patience over a long period of time. So hopefully some of this comes together. Throw on that Tom Brady commencement speech and it should get you fired up. I listened to it before he ran and it got me fired up. So I have some other thoughts on my phone. I wrote them down, but we'll save those for the future. It's time to keep rolling today. So much opportunity right now. I had a meeting with this guy the other day. Great guy. He's been in the Bay Area for a long time. And man, you could hear it in his voice when he was talking about, hey, I wish it was like this when I was your guys' age. Because it reminds me almost of, I don't think he said the internet, he said something else. But with all you can do and all the opportunities with this commoditized knowledge from AI, it's just like a playground right now. And there's just so much opportunities. There's just so much fun. You can have the gloom and doom perspective of it's going to take your job, but as we just talked about, your internal state creates your reality. And if that's the perspective you have, it probably will take your job. But if you see it as an opportunity, it'll probably become an opportunity for you. Sort of random, but I've been reading For Whom the Bell Tolls by Hemingway. Absolutely great book, highly recommend. It's super fun to read fiction again. I have not read a book where I've been forced to or not even forced, it's just natural, but when you're reading it, you actually visualize the scene in your head. Whereas with all nonfiction books, that is almost never the case, at least for me. But with fiction, I start to visualize the scene, the characters, developing this landscape of where they are. It's almost like entering another world. And I'm reading this book, and you never know what to expect in fictional books, usually. It's hard to predict what's going to happen next. At least I think if it's a good one. And what's his name? Demise. I always mess up his name, but from Google. He just talked about how LLMs, good way to think about them, and if they have understanding, is if you're reading a fictional book, then if you read the whole book and at the very end there's a climax and there was some big decision and the next word gave the answer to the decision, then if you have a really good understanding of the book, you'd be able to predict the next word. And in a pretty good sense, that's what these large language models, these algorithms are doing, is they're predicting the next word. And in doing that, they're enacting some level of understanding. Debated point, but I really like that way of thinking about it. So, time to go tinker with these semi-understanding machines. Exciting times. And hopefully some of this came across, got into your spirit. I hope you guys have a great day, whether it's as beautiful as it is here or if it's rainy. Every day is beautiful. Something's to be done. So smile at a stranger, say hi to someone, call your buddy that you haven't called in a long time, and just have a great day. I'll catch you guys in the next one.